Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Randomonium Tavern Brawl here on Hearthstone. Once again, basically get random decks full of random cards that have a randomized mana cost every turn, and I'm going to be hopping into a Warlock this time. See how we can do on that. We didn't do so well in our 5 games as Mage last time, had some bad luck, some sloppy plays in one of the matches, especially surrounding North Dormu. But looking to turn this around here, hopefully with a Warlock, and we will see how we fare on the first match here against a Paladin. Alright, and I think we're probably going to toss all of these ones only because of the fact we'd like to get some bigger minions and attempt to get them out earlier. We don't get any. Hopefully we have more in the deck. Inspire we might be able to use, at least we get a turn 1 play. I'd rather put that out than the Patriarch because I'm not really big on the Patriarch, and we will probably be doing some life tapping anyway. Echoing Ooze might be good too, depending on if this guy puts anything big out, and he does not. Is going to point out something to go along with the Tide Caller and Angry Chicken. Not too afraid of the chicken. Bane of Doom is interesting depending on what we have. Deal 2 damage to all non-minion cards. Not going to do that. Put the Ooze out, or I think I'm going to draw for another card here. Buff him up and then kill off the Murloc. And we get a Goblin Sapper out of it. Has +4 attack when your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand. I'm not sure it's going to get to that point. You're going to want to get that guy off the board as early as possible. Don't know how much he's going to be using his hero power though. And not going to be able to use Bane of Doom. However, a Dread Steed and an Echoing Ooze could give us some pretty good board control here, as it's going to give us just a ton of little minions that are hard to clear off the board. And we might be able to do Demon Wrath. Actually, that's probably not good with the board we have. I was going to say Demon Wrath and Bane of Doom. Probably just take his shield off and then use the Bane of Doom on him. Turn equal damage, do the damage if it's equal to the cost of the card. He's going to do 5 damage. Killing off the Echoing Ooze. I'm not really against him doing that. And looks like Bane of Doom set up for next turn. Luckily he's not holding a dragon, so that's pretty good for us. Not too big on the target dummy. Go ahead and kill that and summon a Succubus, I'll take it. And put out a Sapper, a Patriarch, and a target dummy. Unfortunately that empties our hand, but puts us to where we have some pretty good board control here. If we can keep that, we are in pretty good shape. I was hoping for something more like a Doom Guard, but 4/3 is not too bad. Luckily, he doesn't have any Silverhand recruits on the board because those Quartermasters would be really good for him if he did. And we draw into an Imp Gang Boss, which not something I'd prefer to have, but it is good altogether. Go ahead and throw those 2 into him. And just get that Twilight Drake off the board. Life tap. We get a Pit Lord, which is pretty nice. If you can avoid getting too low on health. I'd love a way to buff up the Dread Steed, because I believe the buffs on the Dread Steed actually last past it dying. Is really the strength of the Dread Steed, other than the fact that it just continually trades. It's not going to be much of a problem for us, because all of our spells we would use would kill it off anyway. It's going to be a pretty easy trade for the Dread Steed. Go ahead and put out a 1-mana Pit Lord and a Demolisher. Throw the Imp Gang Boss into that guy, summon an Imp. Life tap even though we're getting kind of low on health. And we get the Shadow Bolt to help us clear the board more. And we're looking pretty decent now. Competitive Spirit's not really going to help that much. It just gives a +1/+1 to the 1 minion left. And we have some pretty good board control against 1 minion left on the board for him. And he's top decking right now. We pretty much are as well, though we have all but 1 minion is a demon, so the Demon Wrath is actually pretty good for us here. Especially if we could have killed off the Shade of Naxxramas with it, but it will probably be buffed up. Actually, no, we can kill the Shade of Naxxramas to get rid of most of the health of our Demolisher, but that is not too big of a deal. That would clear off his board. Demolisher deals 4 damage. Mimiron's head, we only have one mech on the board, so it's not going to be too great. We'll go ahead and clear off what he's got. Put out Mimiron and just do a ton of damage to him. 8 damage, not a ton, 9. But he has an empty board. We got a couple of pretty big minions and a bunch of smaller, and he will go ahead and concede here. So there we go. The first game as a Warlock is pretty good. Hop right back in and try it again. So things, we weren't having that much luck as the mages, save for the 1 game, while Warlock, at least we get more card draw, so we get more chances to get some pretty good stuff, and we were luckily able to flood the board pretty well. He didn't really draw into anything that would stop it, and we looked pretty good for a while. Gonna be taking on a Shaman. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the Bane of Doom. I might keep everything we have here, yeah. Got a pretty good hand. Varying the best case scenario, he puts out a 2 health minion early on, and we can Bane of Doom it for 1 potentially, and get a pretty nice demon out. Otherwise, we got a couple of pretty good potential minions depending on what the mana cost that they're allotted is. An early Doomguard or an early Frost Giant would be very good. Cheap Bane of Doom for that would be nice. Can't get it, but coin out a fearsome Doomguard on turn 1. We can't argue with that too much. And hopefully keeps the Whirlwind alive to potentially be Bane of Doom next turn. Originally 5 mana, so it's about 40% chance, and it does work out. So Bane of Doom into Blood Imp, not the greatest thing we could have gotten, but we'll keep buffing up that Doomguard. We still have a Hellfire and a Shadow Bolt on the board, so we can do some pretty decent board control. He's gonna overload himself, I believe, with the lightning, and he actually concedes pretty early on, so pretty quick and easy victories so far on the Warlock here. I'll take it. Turn 2 concede off of a Doomguard and a Blood Imp. I mean, unless you don't have anything in your hand, that's not all too hard to clear off. Especially in this Tavern Brawl where you can draw into pretty much anything. And play it as soon as you get it, potentially. But we will hop back in here against a Mage, alright. So Polymorph is potential, but I don't think we really saw too many Polymorphs the whole time. We were actually playing as the Mage. Get rid of everything but the Doomguard and the Mortal Coil. We get a couple of Felguards, not Doomguards. Don't know if I want to continually play Felguards and just handicap ourselves at a low mana cost, or a low mana availability. Mortal Coil's interesting, but don't know how good it would be in this Tavern Brawl unless we get up against some lower cost minions. 2 mana Felguards, not really going to help. Go ahead and pass over. And see what they can do on turn 1. Nothing, but all of our stuff goes to full cost except for a Pit Lord. So I'm good with playing a turn 2 Pit Lord for a 5/6 minion. We take 5 damage, but it's a pretty tough minion out on the board. He's going to use a Fireball to take care of it anyway, though. And a Snow Chugger. It's pretty good for him, actually. And he's got Arcane Intellect for some card draw after using the coin. So he's looking to be in a pretty good position right here. Knight of Evil. I'm actually just going to clear this off the board and draw a card here. Get a Cavalier Raider, which is pretty decent if we do some life tap. Don't know if I really want to play the Felguards, at least as of yet, because I don't want to get rid of a bunch of mana crystals. Tide Hunter is not really a big deal. Cold Light could make it a pretty big deal, but I'm still not all too afraid of that. Got a couple Tiny Knights of Evil. Might as well just put him out here. If he wants to trade all of his Murlocs into the Cavalier, I'm fine with that. It's a battle cry, right? Yeah. If not, we have some life taps. We don't have anything to discard cards as of yet to buff up those Tiny Knights of Evil. But I don't think there's any really reason to do it. He's gonna get rid of the Cavalier using spells anyway. Looks like he's gonna trade his Murlocs into the Tiny Knights. It's not all too bad for us. Try minion, return 3 health. That's pretty good for us later on. I'm gonna take the risk and lose a couple of mana crystals in order to get some big taunts on the board. Not really big, but some pretty decent taunts. Can't kill either as of yet, but if he has a Flame Strike, that is very good for him. Luckily he does not, and I'm going to go ahead and sense demons here. Get a Pit Lord for full cost, and Jiraxis life tap as well. Gets us an Imp Gang Boss for what would be 1 mana, but keep it. And we've got quite a few demons here. If the Pit Lord gets to be pretty cheap and the Gang Boss, be nice for us. He gets Cairn Bloodhoof out. It's going to be tough to get rid of the Elven Archer. Looks like he's going to clear off some of our taunts. And it does just clear our board, and he has some pretty big stuff on it. But we have the Pit Lord and the Imp Gang Boss that looks to come out. Sneed Shredder is nice. And do we Siphon Soul to kill one of his minions? I don't think there's anything there that would really be good for us. Go and put out the Gang Boss and the Pit Lord and hope that he doesn't have lethal until we can get a Jiraxis out. He can bring us down to about 7 or 8 right now. Just trying to draw for a card that can kill us. Flame Leviathan is better for us than him. It's actually really nice for us. Kills off the majority of his big minions, and it looks like he's gonna hero power a couple times to kill the Imp Gang Boss, which is actually beneficial to us more than it is to him. We can go ahead and kill that Drake, put out Sneed, or instead of killing off the Drake, go ahead and use this, put out Sneed. He gets a couple copies of Koldara. Go ahead and kill off Bane. And we have Sneed out, as well as Jiraxis in the hand and a Siphon Soul, so we're looking pretty good for now. If puts out another big minion, at least we have the Siphon Soul, we can just get rid of it. Like Ronin, we'll give him a couple copies of Arcane Missile, Koldara Drake, and a Fireball. Luckily he goes face and we have Jiraxis and a Kel'Thuzad, so go ahead and Jiraxis, Kel'Thuzad, siphon life off of Ronin, and then just go ahead and kill off the Koldara. So we have the Sneed, or the Kel'Thuzad, which should bring back Sneed's old Shredder after it dies, making the death rattle pretty much perpetual unless he can kill off Kel'Thuzad. Gives us a Hellfire and gets a Hammer of Wrath, so he deals 3 damage, draws himself a card back, and is going to use an Arcane Missile. Fortunately doesn't kill off Sneed, and he is looking for the lethal here. That one kills off Sneed but does a couple damage to us. And we get a Paeltris. So we're looking for a taunt here from Paeltris. or a charge. And we get Mech Engineer Thermopug. And I just silenced all my minions on accident. Which doesn't matter, because we're going to play for the draw here and just kill each other.
Well played.
So, nobody wins, but better than just completely losing, so we end up being able to drag them down with us with the Hellfire and the legendaries we get from Paletris as well as Sneed. I was hoping for a taunt or something to keep us alive, but with the... he had lethal on us anyway, so might as well have with his spell he had in his hand with the Arcane Missile and Ping. And Shadow Flame, strike friendly minion, deals attack to all enemy minions. I'm not going to keep either Shadow Flame. And we get another Doom card and a Gnomish Experimenter. Not too big on either of those. He's got a Lowly Squire for turn 1. You do a Shadow Bolt, or we could Void Terror, destroy a minion on each side. Gain attack and health. I'd rather save that. I might just turn 1 Felguard here. I mean, it brings us back a mana crystal, but puts a pretty big taunt on the board turn 1. Depending on what he can draw here, we're in pretty good shape, and he ends up going with a totem. Actually, that probably wasn't the best play last game, based on the fact that he probably would have not been able to do lethal to us unless he drew a charge or something, if we would have taken out the minion and not silenced our creatures on our board, but unfortunately I didn't really read the Wraith that much. And there's a Ragnaros. So we ended up being in a pretty... we made some pretty bad plays. Unfortunately, it doesn't kill the Dreadsteed with the Ragnaros. Should be the best possible thing. Can we kill? Yes, we can kill the Ragnaros here if that gets charged. Looks like it will, and it does. So throw that into Rag as well as the Felguard. Clear it off the board, and do we put a Void Terror? I mean, it makes it a 4/4, and the Dreadsteed's gonna come back anyway. It's not too bad for us. The Void Caller could be pretty good. Put a random demon from your hand. Actually, it won't be good until we get a demon actually in our hand. And we got a Shadow Bolt to potentially clear off some minions like the Direwolf Alpha if we really want to use it on that. Lava Shock, so he's gonna overload a mana crystal and do that 2 damage. Actually hit the Dreadsteed, which isn't really gonna do him anything. Get a Blood Imp, which is not very good in this turn. I think the best thing to do is just life tap, end up getting a Haunted Creeper. I'll put it out, go ahead and do 1 damage to him, because the attacking the totem or the wolf is not going to help us at all, based on the healing totem. And he's got a Wind Fury Harpy, so pretty glad I held onto that Shadow Bolt just to kill that off alongside the Dreadsteed. Not too big of a fan of that Mana-Tide Totem, however. That might be a target of a Shadow Bolt. Actually, should throw this at it. Hellfire's pretty good here, actually. Do we play Hellfire? I think after... Is Hellfire good here? Yeah, it clears off everything but the Harpy. But it does kill off the Harpy if we do this. It's gonna get rid of the 2 spiders, but I'd rather have the Harpy gone and a board with just a Dreadsteed on it. Go ahead and put out the Blood Imp. Not too big for us right now, but could be. Don't want to bring out the Experimenter because we probably have better things in our deck than would be good turning into a chicken. And there, in the form of the Ogre is a good Shadow Bolt target. Goes down to 1 mana. Fell Cannon, not too big on. Actually, there's not much on our board that I wouldn't mind losing here. And go ahead and throw him at that. And the Fell Cannon kills off the Blood Imp, but it's not too big of a loss. I'm not too big on the Blood Imp. It's worthwhile if we're able to kill off one of the Totem and Guardians with it. It looks like he doesn't really have much to play this turn. Brings us down to 8 health, however. We get a 1 mana Jormonger and a Void Caller. I'm not going to use the life tap here. Kill him off completely. Brings him down to 3 damage on the board. He can bring us down to 5. Might as well play the Experimenter and hope it's not a minion. Pretty much the worst thing that could happen, but we're still in a pretty good position. End up hitting our own Jormonger with the cannon. Jiraxis would have been really nice to get here, but we're still in a pretty decent position. He gets Fugan and Justicar True Heart on the board, but we can counter those. Not as well as we could if we were Jiraxis, but might as well just empty our hand here, see what we can do to clear off his hand. His board, as it were. And I am going to trade into that. Right there, and we can bring that down to 3. He's going to bring us down to 2 health next turn. We just gotta hope we can get board control and not take a lot of damage. And he's gonna choose his totem correctly. He gets another spell power totem. And a Frost Shock. So we end up losing this one, unfortunately, because of the... mainly because of this guy and turning Jiraxis into a chicken, which is usually why I refuse to play that card. But decided to give him a chance and end up regretting it. And I think that's going to be the last game for the day, so thank you all for watching. As always, hope to see you again next time, and have a nice day.